I would say be curious before you're certain, because honestly, the best and most innovative leaders are the ones who are constantly learning. Always ask questions, always challenge assumptions, experiment, do not wait for permission to innovate, and, just make sure that you're always thinking about your people. Honestly, I would not be where I am today without my people. So make sure that you're continuing to recognize your people, elevate your people, develop your people, and celebrate your people, because you wouldn't be anywhere without them.
Welcome to Fresh Take with IDDBA, your source for essential insights, trends, and professional growth in the dairy, deli, and bakery industries. This is Kat Shanahan, and today we're bringing you our Executive Aisle series. I am joined by the Chief Marketing Officer for Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and incoming IDDBA Chairperson of the Board, Sue Fanning. With a proven track record of elevating the fresh perimeter, Sue recently spearheaded DFW's groundbreaking Born to Dairy campaign, earning prestigious national recognition from Ad Age for its bold, human-centered storytelling. Today, she is joining us to share her vision for the future of IDDBA, the power of authentic agricultural marketing, and how leaders can drive true innovation across the industry. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you for having me.
You're just down the street, so it's so exciting to have you in Madison, and with your background, to have you on the show and to be the next chairperson of the board.
I am incredibly honored to be stepping into the role of chair of the IDDBA board.
And with your background, you're bringing all sorts of experience related to marketing, executive experience. So what's kind of your North Star vision for the association and for our members as you step into this leadership position?
Well, I have to say this is a moment of tremendous opportunity, not just for our association, but for the entire dairy, deli, and bakery community. Our industry has always been built on relationships and craftsmanship, but this is really an era of rapid change. So I would say my North Star is making sure that IDDBA helps our members confidently navigate both. Another thing that you're very aware of, and I think a lot of our members also know, is that one of our board's biggest priorities has been selecting our next CEO. And I can't share any of the specifics today, but I definitely want to mention that we have been just genuinely energized by the caliber of all of the candidates who have stepped forward, because I think it really says something very, very important about our association. People see an organization that has just so much momentum and just incredible members and really enormous potential. So it makes me really, really excited for the future of IDDBA.
I agree. And when you're talking about change, it just seems like it's been relentless change for so long. And now we're experiencing some both internally and externally. So we're grateful for your steady leadership as we enter even more change.
Well, change can be good.
Absolutely. So between your work leading marketing at Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin and just kind of your involvement with the association so far, I think you have a really unique vantage point on the fresh perimeter. What do you see as the biggest opportunities for dairy, deli, and bakery leaders in the next, say, 12 to 18 months?
Well, there are a lot of things going on for sure. I think that the biggest buzzword, and none of us can get away from it for sure, and that is AI. I think every single conference that we go to, every podcast, every webinar, everything, people are talking about AI. So going to have to kick off with that one. It's going to be AI becoming an everyday business tool and figuring out how we can harness that for sure. The next one, I would probably say making sure that the fresh departments are becoming competitive differentiators. The next one, of course, is very me, and that would be making sure that experience remains more important than transactions. And the next one, I would say, is probably very IDDBA, cross-industry collaboration, making sure that we're continuing to foster that because we can learn so much from each other. And then the final one that I would probably say, hopefully, is reflecting both of us, and that is developing the next generation of leaders. That's so very important.
I agree. I feel like I can't go a single day without talking about, the majority of those topics. And I'm curious, from your vantage point right now, is there, taking even AI into consideration, is there something that you have found that has helped you really accelerate or grow at DFW using AI, or something that maybe our listeners should try?
Well, I think the key for all of us is just not taking it as a hype tool. I think it's understanding how we can harness it for ourselves. And there's something that I know about IDDBA folks, and that's that they're really, really practical. So it's how do we not get caught up in sort of the glitter of it all, and how do we make sure that we're harnessing it to accomplish true business results? And I feel like that's what we have to ask ourselves, and that's what we have to help our members understand. Now, for us, we've been using it for a variety of things. Obviously, we're using it for some writing. We're using it for some creative. We're using it for a whole lot of different things. And the latest thing that we're using it for is to develop a research tool and our own internal kind of Google, and which, because we are working with cows, we may or may not name Moogle. So kind of a fun thing that we're doing.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I'd love to go home at the end of the day and say, I spent most of the day talking to Moogle today.
Yeah. And maybe we'll have an agent called Brie, because we also spend a lot of time in cheese. So we're having some fun with AI over here.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. I want to talk a little bit about DFW's Born to Dairy campaign. As we mentioned in the intro, it recently earned a very well-deserved national recognition from Ad Age. And instead of the standard commodity marketing, you highlighted real farmers, and you did that through personality, culture, and even comedian Charlie Berens. Where did the initial spark for this unconventional approach come from?
Oh boy, I could talk about Born to Dairy all day. You just opened it up, Kat.
We're here for it. We are here for it.
I love this campaign. It is so close to my heart. And this thing is so fun because it really did. It started as a marketing campaign, and it has turned into this movement that has united an entire state just around this love for dairy. I think Wisconsin was so ready for this, so ready for something positive to jump into. And you're right. It's a campaign that just is celebrating farmers, celebrating dairy at a time when dairy farmers found themselves under attack. We decided we were not going to take the traditional route. We weren't going to talk specifically about products, and we weren't going to do what agriculture brands typically do, and just talk about like nutrition or even just go on the defense, which is another thing that agricultural products will typically do. We said, you know what, we're going to go all the way back to the people who make these products possible. And these people are just incredible. The real stories, I mean, we really didn't have to manufacture anything. The people are incredible. Farmers are innovators, they're environmental stewards, they're entrepreneurs, they're parents, they're community leaders, and we just chose to tell their stories with just joy and humor and authenticity, and consumers responded. These characters are hysterical, and they're just all based on just real categories of farmers. So and there are trading cards. There's so many things that go along with them, but there are trading cards. So I'm holding a lot of trading cards in my hands right now, and these are all collectible. So I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the different elements that are involved in this campaign. So trading cards are one. And so there's a character called the Dairyland Darling. And so while all these things are really funny, there's a lot of truth behind them. So the Dairyland Darling is played by Annalise, and she is one of our board members. So she is indeed a real dairy farmer, and she is indeed quite lovely. And this is a thing with these young women who are in dairy farming. And 33% of farmers are women today. So there's truth behind this. But people will walk up to them and say, oh, you're too pretty to be a dairy farmer. And so we thought, well, isn't that just kind of a funny thing to build a whole persona around these women who people think are too pretty to be a dairy farmer? But these women are like tough and fierce and amazing. And so we made an entire persona around that. And we called her the utterly stunning Dairyland Darling. So that's Annalise. And the list just goes on and on. We've got the farm MacGyver, and so we say he hasn't thrown anything away since 1997, just in case. And so he's like the traditional dairy farmer who can fix anything on the farm with duct tape or bale or twine. And boy, that's played by Gary. He's also on our board, and he has really embraced his character. You frequently will find him out signing autographs, and so he loves that. But we've got farmers who also just ice fish, and so we talk about that. We've got the Gen Z farmer because, succession planning is a real issue on the farm, and so we talk about that issue when we talk about the truth behind the persona. But our Gen Z farmer is actually played by Alice in Dairyland. So that's pretty incredible. We've got one character who's the Moomaw, and we've heard that a lot of grandmas now who are dairy grandmas are now actually calling themselves, it's a big thing to pick your grandma name, and they're actually calling themselves Moomaw because they have just embraced this persona so much. So, that tells you that you're really breaking through. But we say she's raised a herd of kids, 17 barn cats, 2 generations of future farmers, and has barn shoes older than you. So there's a lot of wisdom. And she's representing the fact that, these dairy farms are multi-generational, and 99% of Wisconsin dairy farms are family owned. But the list just goes on and on. But this is what it is. They're real stories. They're real farmers. And we're telling these stories with humor. And yes, we did partner with comedian Charlie Behrens, and he's been introducing 2 new farmers every single month through videos. And these videos have gotten millions and millions of views and so many positive comments, and people are just loving it. It's incredible. Like I said, it's just exploded. We've got billboards all over the state. These farmers are on the sides of buses. We've got bumper stickers, so you see just trucks all over with these bumper stickers, and we've even got milk trucks that are coming out with these characters on the side next month. There are radio ads. It's incredible how it's exploded.
That is amazing. I love all of the persona names that you were talking about. There were 2 that stuck out to me. The MacGyver one, specifically because when you first started talking about farmers in Wisconsin, that's the first thing I thought of. It's not necessarily that they don't throw things away, but they have this innate ability to be able to fix things or improve things in a way that had never, ever crossed my mind. And I think that's such a rich source of innovation.
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, it meant so much to us to be recognized in Ad Age. We knew it was a big deal to us here in Wisconsin, but when Ad Age puts a campaign about dairy farmers alongside brands like Pepsi and Verizon, it sends a powerful message. And it says that stories from agriculture deserve a place in the national conversation. So it just meant so much to us.
One of the other personas I wanted to talk about is the Alice in Dairyland piece. I saw some interviews with the woman who's currently Alice in Dairyland. If you're not from Wisconsin, you might not know what that program is. Can you give us just a 2-sentence overview for those who may not live in the state and be unfamiliar with Alice in Dairyland?
Yes, absolutely. So that is a program that is actually run by the Department of Agriculture in Wisconsin. And so there's a new young lady who is who takes the Alice in Dairyland title every single year. And so I don't want to call it a pageant because it's not necessarily like a pageant. It's like a series of interviews, and it's more of a PR role that this person takes on. And so she is the representative for agriculture in our state. And they're always these amazing, articulate young women. And they talk about cranberries, and they talk about our corn, and they talk about our cheese, and just everything agriculture in the state of Wisconsin. And they have these extremely busy schedules for the entire year. And they're the spokesperson for agriculture in the state. And they're just incredible people.
I watched, like I said, a couple interviews, and I was just blown away by everything you mentioned, how articulate they are, how confident and excited they are about all things agriculture and dairy in the state. So we'll put some links to some of the videos that Sue mentioned and some of those Alice in Dairyland interviews up on the website so people can take a look.
That'd be great.
You mentioned some of the different tactics that were involved in this campaign. You talked about bus wraps and billboards and video. I know you did some Piggly Wiggly in-store activations. You had partnerships with brands like Culver's. How can retail buyers and department leaders take some of those same storytelling components and that energy and apply it to their own store floors?
I think it's all about storytelling and authenticity. So it's about realizing that consumers aren't just buying products today, they're buying values, they want transparency, they want to know where their food comes from. And I think that's the important lesson to take away.
I've seen a lot of local retailers here in Madison doing a lot more with the storytelling, specifically, like you said, around the cheese, having some information about how far away the farms are. I think that really humanizes, like you said, the farmers in the area that are producing all of these great products that we're seeing at retail locations.
Oh yeah, every single product has a person behind it, and that's usually a pretty great story. Consumers maybe come for the product, but they stay for the people. So when you humanize the supply chain, you're not just selling the food, you're building trust. So, and in today's marketplace, honestly, trust may be the most valuable ingredient of all.
You've mentioned that most retail marketing asks shoppers to notice products, but we wanted them to notice people. Why is humanizing the supply chain from the farm to the retail case so effective with today's grocery shopper?
Consumers don't really fall in love with supply chains. They fall in love with people. So if you tell the story behind the product, for instance, introduce the shoppers to the cheesemaker, in our case, the farmer. Sometimes it could be the bakery manager, the deli associate, the family business. Every product has a person behind it, and that's usually the better story, and that's certainly what we found. So consumers, they like the product, but they love the people. So if you can find any opportunity to humanize your product, you're not just selling your food. You're building some trust. And today, trust is probably the most valuable ingredient of all.
And something you said earlier really stuck out to me. I think you said that 99% of the dairy farms in Wisconsin are family owned. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And when I used to work with some family businesses in a prior life, and one thing that I always love and appreciate is how readily they're interested in sharing their story and communicating what makes them different and special. And I think that combination of family-owned businesses and the humanizing part of it really helps consumers have a reason to support the businesses that they're supporting, and they think about food differently in those cases.
Oh, absolutely. And when you think about how similar these people are to you, you're not thinking of it as just a business. You're thinking of it as the people behind the business. And again, like these are fathers and these are mothers and these are people just like you. It makes a big difference.
Do you have a favorite moment from creating the campaign, whether that was, something that happened in the interviews or on the marketing side of it, or as you're coming to the ideation of it? Was there a favorite memory that stuck out from this campaign for you?
Oh my gosh, I have so many favorite moments. I could tell so many, but the one that stands out to me, we were talking about MacGyver. And so because I feel like this was born of farmers and by farmers. And in some cases, we just changed lines immediately when the farmers walked in. And there was one moment when that happened when our farm MacGyver walked in, because we didn't we weren't like some fancy agency that had like big costuming. We had a few props, but mostly they came in their own clothes. And so for MacGyver, he was just like the farm guy, right? So we were like, well, wear what you wear on the farm and come. And so he came and he had on the shirt. And if you should look him up for sure, but the shirt was a button down shirt, like a plaid button down shirt that he had just cut the sleeves out of. And we took one look at him and we just laughed and we said, okay, we're going to have to change one of the lines on the back of the card to when you demand collar respect but need elbow freedom. It's just so funny that he had it was just hysterical. And then the other one that kind of stands out that was like a costuming thing that was sort of born in the moment was our Mr. Red, White, and Moo. And so he just came out in July, and he showed up. And of course, when we did the shoot, it was really cold outside. There was snow on the ground, and we told him to come dressed for a backyard picnic. And we had a red, white, and blue shirt for him to wear, but he was supposed to wear something on the bottom half that was for a picnic. But he came in blue jeans and cowboy boots. And we were like, man, your character's in July. Like, you can't wear that. And we only had a limited amount of time in the studio, and it was in the middle of winter in Wisconsin, and you can't buy shorts or sandals or flip-flops or anything. So our only choice was to go to a farm and fleet across the street. We got a pair of jeans, and the only shoes that they had were Crocs. And so we came back, we just cut the jeans off with a pair of scissors, and which made him have jorts, which was kind of funny that he was rocking jorts. And we threw the Crocs on with his socks, and he looked so funny that we were like, this is absolutely perfect for a dairy farmer to wear to a barbecue. And so that is how his costume was born. And it is absolutely hysterical. And his trading card is him standing there in that crazy outfit with his jorts and his Crocs and red, white, and blue socks eating a brat with cheese curds on it. And it could not be more perfect. We could not have planned it any better.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's like, you can't even write that. You can't even make those situations up. They have to be born organically. It's
so perfect.
And like I said earlier, we will put some links and things on the webpage so you can see some of these stories, because that just sounds too amazing to pass up.
Yes.
Now that you've done all of this innovative marketing at DFW, what's next? What are you thinking about next?
We've got a lot of cool things happening for sure. We have just done a new art installation at the Madison Public Market. So there's a public market where they're thinking, millions of people will be walking through in the years to come. And we said, if you're coming to Wisconsin, you've got to tell the story of dairy. And we wanted to do it in an interesting and modern way. So there's a series of cheese hoops that are hanging from the ceiling, and they're all in a variety of colors. And when you look up at them, you can see that there are hand-painted art that kind of starts with the land and the water, and it goes to the farm families and the animals, and then walks all the way through to the products. And it's just beautiful to behold. And I believe it's like 80 feet long, this series of hoops in the market. I know. And so I think people are going to love it. So when you come to Wisconsin, you've got to visit the new Madison Public Market and see this incredible art installation. So that's a pretty neat thing that is just launching. And I think, the Madison Public Market is opening to the public this week. So that's brand new. There's also more recognition coming for Born to Dairy. I just found out this week, and I can't announce it yet, but it's going to be coming out in the next few months. So you'll be seeing that. And I'm sure IDDBA will be announcing it. So if you're not following IDDBA on LinkedIn, you definitely should, because they'll tell you all the latest industry news, and you will hear about this. We have some big plans coming up. Something else I'm telling you all these things I can't talk about, but you're going to be seeing Wisconsin cheese at the happiest place on earth, and that'll be coming out this fall. And I can't tell you any more about that, but pretty exciting. We're already planning the 2027 Art of Cheese Festival, which is an incredible celebration. At the last one, we had people from 30 different states come to join and celebrate Wisconsin cheese. It is like a 4-day festival that has different tours, excursions. You can go on a dairy farm. You can have lunch cooked for you by a celebrity chef. You can go into cheese plants. There's also an entire cheese ball where we literally have a formal dance celebration. It's going to be very, very neat. In fact, I think it's going to be under that art installation that I talked about in 2027. And there are a series of classes and just all kinds of amazing things that happen at this Art of Cheese Festival. Even cheese yoga happens at the Art of Cheese Festival. So that'll be coming at the end of September 2027. And then there's something else that's exciting that I would love people's help with. And that is we just submitted a video to South by Southwest, and we're hoping that we'll get picked for a panel. And on this panel will be Kristen Kish from Top Chef. You know, there was an entire season of Top Chef that happened in Wisconsin. So we asked her to moderate our panel. We will have Andrew Zimmer. He just visited Wisconsin, actually, and we talked to him, and he was saying, oh, you guys have some great marketing going on. And we're like, hey, would you like to say that on a panel at South by Southwest? And he said, well, I say it to everybody, so why not? So we asked him to join our panel. Then we've got Kathy Strange from Whole Foods. I think anybody in the food industry and retail knows Kathy Strange. And so she has agreed to join our panel. And then I will be there because, as you can see, I love to talk about the marketing that we do here at Wisconsin Cheese. So if you think that that sounds worthy of a panel on the South by Southwest stage, please, when the voting opens, go to the panel picker and vote for our session, which will be called Commodity to Cult Brand, How Wisconsin Cheese Became Cool.
That was, I was taking notes. That's so many exciting things coming up from, announcements with the Born to Dairy campaign and new partnerships. I'm especially excited about the art installation at the new Madison Public Market. Art and cheese are two of my favorites. And so I can't wait for the doors to open on the public market and for people to be able to check that out.
Awesome.
One important question for you. If somebody were to start mentally preparing for cheese yoga, what would I be doing?
Well, you would be doing a series of different poses that potentially emulate making cheese or being cheese or thinking about cheese. And it's pretty great. Pretty relaxing.
Is there a sign up for that yet? I think you said that was like September of 27, but is there like an early wait list that someone can get on? That sounds amazing.
You can sign up to be notified of when it opens up. And actually, when we went to South by this past year, it wasn't. This was Aspen Food and Wine we went to. And somebody came up to us and they said, we tried to sign up for classes at your last cheese festival. And the tickets, everything was sold out as soon as we went on. So we want to make sure we're going to stop what we're doing. We want to be notified so that we can stop what we're doing and immediately sign up. They said, you guys are a hotter ticket than Taylor Swift. We were like, all right, we'll take that. So you can get on that waiting list and you can be notified immediately so you too can sign up as soon as those tickets become available, Kat. We'll make sure you get on that list. And that's at artofcheese.com.
I feel like that's the greatest compliment any marketer can get, is that your event is hotter than Taylor Swift.
Yeah. She may or may not have been partaking at the wine at Aspen Food and Wine when she said that, but we'll still take it.
Yeah, no, I would definitely still take that. To close out our Executive Aisle segment, Sue, what is some advice that you would give to emerging leaders in our industry who are trying to drive innovation and break through the noise in their own organizations?
I would say be curious before you're certain, because honestly, the best and most innovative leaders are the ones who are constantly learning. Always ask questions, always challenge assumptions, experiment, do not wait for permission to innovate. And, just make sure that you're always thinking about your people. Honestly, I would not be where I am today without my people. So make sure that you're continuing to recognize your people, elevate your people, develop your people, and celebrate your people, because you wouldn't be anywhere without them.
That is very true, and wonderful words to wrap up on. Sue, thank you so much for joining us. I'm extremely grateful for your commitment to IDDBA, and I'm really looking forward to see what you do over the next year as our chairperson of the board.
Well, thanks for having me today. It's been really fun.
Don't forget, Fresh Take with IDDBA drops 2 episodes a month on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays. To ensure you don't miss our next episode, hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for tuning in to Fresh Take with IDDBA.